Imagine a world where in an instant the level of oxygen in our atmosphere is cut in half. What would happen? Oxygen, an element so fundamental, it's as essential to life as the water we drink and the food we eat. It's the silent partner that keeps our hearts beating, our minds thinking, and our bodies moving. Right now, as you're listening to this, you're unconsciously taking in a breath, and it's largely oxygen that you're pulling into your lungs. Currently, oxygen makes up about 21% of our atmosphere. It might not sound like much, but this seemingly modest percentage holds incredible significance. You see, oxygen isn't just a part of the air we breathe. It's also a crucial component of water, a molecule that's vital to almost all known forms of life. Without oxygen, there would be no water, and without water, there would be no life. Moreover, oxygen plays a key role in energy production. It's the crucial player in the process of cellular respiration, where our cells convert food into energy. This process, which happens billions of times every second, keeps life ticking along. It powers everything from the beating of our hearts to the firing of our neurons. But oxygen's role extends beyond just supporting life. It's also essential for fire, a force that's been both a boon and a bane to humanity. Fire, in all its destructive beauty, is a chemical reaction that occurs when oxygen reacts with a fuel source. Without oxygen, there would be no flames. So, consider the 21% of our atmosphere that's oxygen. It's not just a number, it's the breath in our lungs, the energy in our cells, the water in our world, and the fire in our hearths. It's the unseen force that shapes our existence in countless ways. Now, let's delve into the consequences of a sudden drop in this life-sustaining element. The first and most immediate effect would be on our breathing. Every breath we take is a delicate balance, a dance between our body's demand for oxygen and the availability of it in the air around us. When the air's oxygen content drops, this dance becomes a desperate scramble. Imagine, if you will, the sensation of running on a treadmill. With every passing minute, the treadmill's speed increases and your lungs work harder to keep up. Now imagine that same sensation, but you're not on a treadmill. You're simply sitting, doing nothing more strenuous than existing. That's what it would be like if the Earth's oxygen content was suddenly cut in half. This condition, known as hypoxia, would rapidly become a part of our everyday lives. Hypoxia is a state where the body or a region of the body is deprived of adequate oxygen supply at the tissue level. Our bodies would be starved of the oxygen they need, causing a litany of distressing symptoms. Shortness of breath would be the first sign, followed by rapid heartbeat as our bodies desperately try to pump the limited oxygen to our vital organs. Mental confusion would set in as our brains, which consume a fifth of the body's oxygen, struggle to function. And it's not just humans who would suffer. All animals, from the smallest insect to the largest whale, would feel the effects of this oxygen shortage. Those living at higher altitudes, already dealing with less oxygen, would be hit the hardest. They'd be the first to feel the effects and the first to succumb. So imagine a world where every breath is a struggle, where every heartbeat is a reminder of the oxygen we've lost. It's a world where the simple act of living becomes a Herculean task. So life as we know it would be gasping for breath, but the effects don't stop there. In a world with less oxygen, even fire as we know it would change. Fire, in its essence, is a chemical reaction, a combustion, if you will. It's a dance between fuel, heat, and oxygen. And in our hypothetical world, one of the dancers has taken a step back. Imagine trying to light a campfire at the peak of Mount Everest. It's a struggle, isn't it? That's because the oxygen levels are significantly lower up there. Now apply this to our entire planet. Fires would be harder to ignite and even more challenging to sustain. The roaring bonfires we are accustomed to would be reduced to feeble flickers, struggling to consume what little oxygen is available. But fire isn't the only process affected by the dearth of oxygen. Let's talk about photosynthesis, the process used by plants to convert light energy, mostly from the sun, into chemical energy that can be used to fuel the organism's activities. Oxygen is a critical byproduct of this process, but in a world where oxygen levels have halved, the process of photosynthesis would slow down considerably. Your lush green gardens might not be as vibrant, and the Amazon rainforest might lose some of its richness. In essence, our world would not just be gasping, it would be darker, colder, and less green. Our world would not just be gasping, it would be darker and less vibrant. In conclusion, a sudden halving of Earth's oxygen would be catastrophic. Let's take a moment to revisit the major points we've discussed in this video. Our breathing would become far more laborious, akin to scaling the peak of Mount Everest without any aid. This drastic reduction in oxygen concentration would prove fatal for those with respiratory conditions and severely impact even the healthiest among us. And it's not just us who would suffer. The entire animal kingdom would face a similar fate. The creatures of the sky would plummet, the beasts of the land would falter, and even the aquatic life would not be exempt, as the oxygen levels in water would also dwindle. Fire, that elemental force we've harnessed for millennia, would behave differently. Flames would be less intense and wildfires would be less frequent. Candles would burn dimmer and bonfires would be a shadow of their former glory. Lastly, the quality of our food would deteriorate, as weak photosynthesis would lead to crop failures and food scarcity. While this might seem like a small detail, remember that it's a critical part of life's cycle that would be severely disrupted. So, next time you take a deep breath, remember the vital role oxygen plays in our lives and hope that its levels remain stable for the foreseeable future.